Hello, hello. Welcome to my top 12 guide on tips that you can do in V-Rising to help you survive out there and be extremely successful early and venture forth and conquer. So the first one is, in the base game, you can have 2 castles. So if you wanted to place your heart down, just have a spawn point somewhere, that is perfectly fine. Follow the quest line, get some walls up, and then look for your permanent home. If you know where your permanent home is, go ahead and build there. But just know that you can always build 2 castles in the base game. And if you want to change that, there's advanced server settings, private. You can actually change all that to have many more bases if you like. But in the vanilla game, it's strictly 2, and you can move and you can pull up a heart if you do not like the location, but that requires you pretty much demolishing everything or taking the blood essences out and letting it collapse. Number 2, follow the quest line for quick progression. You want to definitely do the quest line. It'll guide you through a lot of things and give you access to a lot of craftables that you will need to start building your kingdom. And not much to really be said there. A lot of people sometimes will try to deviate and not follow the quest line. But this one will give you weapons and equipment for rewards, stuff that you need to be able to make, such as unlocking your first base. Number 3, don't be afraid to build additional production items. So, for example, your sawmills, your grindstones, your forges. Don't be afraid to build 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, however many. In my playthrough, I've got 2 sawmills, 2 grindstones, and 6 forges. And you find that you use a lot more ore later on. So if you're out there gathering a lot of iron or bronze, the forges really do help you out a lot. And I highly recommend having about 6. There's nothing wrong with that. And even with the workshop and the forge floorings that reduce the time and resources, it's still good to have numerous. Don't be afraid. That is a number 1 pitfall people have, is they only put 1 production down. That slows your progression down significantly. Number 4, don't be afraid to explore. There's a lot of areas to unlock on the map, and it'll also tell you on the map exactly what kind of materials will drop in that region. And so if you're looking for Coerce Thread, this bandit camp may have Coerce Thread. You fight the NPCs, they have a chance to drop it. They also have a chance to drop it in their crates and chests and things. It's definitely something you want to keep in mind. So get out there and explore. Number 5, blood is split into different types, such as rogue, creature, warrior, brute, worker, scholar, and each of them have a whole list of different buffs. You get a lot more buffs the higher the blood quality that you drink from a combatant. So for example, you're dealing with a 93% brute. You're going to, once you feed off them, absorb that 93% brute type, which will give you primary attack of life leech and a whole slew of other things. Don't be afraid to see what fits your playstyle, or ideally, what may work for a boss that you are getting ready to come up against. Some bosses, the damage reduction's nice. Other times, the healing's nice. Other times, just the raw damage. And if you're playing with a group of friends, well, you might be able to split everything up a little bit more. So, all in all, it's a really good thing to do that. Number 6, Blood Altar is your friend. You want to get that up as quickly as possible when you first start. Basically, that's going to tell you exactly where to go hunt your marks, and it'll tell you what kind of items and recipes the bosses will drop when you take it. It does not list the powers that you will gain, typically. Sometimes they do list one of the powers, sometimes they'll list some of the stuff. It'll be a mystery, but for example, the very first one, the Alpha Wolf, will give you a wolf form, and it'll say that on the Blood Altar. And what that wolf form does, this is your first travel form. It'll allow you to go faster. Number 7, don't be afraid to go up north into the next area to pick up a horse. A horse will make life so much better, especially once you get wolf form. You can run up there, dodge everything, find a horse, grab it, run back down. The only thing you will need to do is have water skins, but those are plentiful off slain bandits. Worst case scenario, you can always make them from a tannery and fill those water flasks up, and all you would have to do is, while you're riding it or near the horse, when you open up your inventory menu, it'll show it on the right hand side where you can just drop these water flasks in and it'll keep your horse alive. Number 8, you definitely want to proceed in getting copper as fast as possible. There's a copper mine. All you need is a reinforced mace, and with that you just go to the copper mine here and get as much as you can. And if you feel brave, you can also take on Errol the Stonebreaker, who's available for a fight for a new power and a better storage chest. But this is by far the best place to get copper than trying to run all over the place and find copper throughout the land, which you can still do if you want, but if you're just focused on copper, that's the best place to go. Number 9, definitely when you're first starting out, you can do other bosses without copper weapons. That makes it easier, and a couple that I definitely recommend fighting at the start because of their substantial nice perks is Keely the Frost Archer. And the reason why I recommend her is because you can get a tannery and start working on your Night Stalker gear to strengthen yourself up. And then Lydia the Chaos Archer, because Lydia has some powerful powers that you add. If you're curious on how to fight those 2 bosses, check out my boss guides coming up soon. Number 10, the Bennett region. Get more paper, coarse thread, and recipes to help upgrade your base of operations. You're going to need a lot of paper to unlock your decorations or a chance for armor recipes. And if you get a duplicate book that you already know, the Devourer from Lydia will also allow you to break those books down into scrolls, paper, anything that's used for researching to tier up. It's highly recommended. I definitely can't stress that enough, that paper, even in my playthrough right now where I'm almost late game, I'm still short on paper. Number 11, get your castle operational and make sure you place your workshop flooring down and put the proper buildings in there. One thing that people forget is when you start laying out your workshop flooring, they forget to put walls around it and close it off. You need to do that. It has to have an enclosure to count as workshop flooring. If you have a different flooring that does not match in there, it will not accept it. So be sure it matches up, get walls and doors, and you should be good to go, and that will speed up a lot of your raw production, such as sawmills and grinders. Now, there is other thing. There's forge floors that will work on your forges, your metal blacksmithing once you get to that tier. There's a tailoring room, alchemy room, crypt room, and prison. And each of these floors have unique specialties that will buff up particular items. You can always look when you're accessing the device to see what room they fit in to help you out and make your better decisions. And the 12th one, biggest things that I wish I knew when I first started was Unsullied Hearts. You should be collecting them. Don't use them for anything. On day 1, you should be collecting them. You get them off any type of enemy. You get them more, it seems like, off the higher enemies and bosses. But you're going to need tons of them to upgrade your base and equipment. They require a blood press, and that gives you a greater blood essence. That's used to upgrade your rings, your armor, buildings, be able to start unlocking thralls, get a throne room. There's a lot of things. And then once you get your gear up to about mid-30s, if you feel like you want to try your hand at Tristan the Vampire Hunter for a new recipe, go for it. If you beat him, that's a 200 blood essence conversion on a blood press that makes it greater. So these are my top 12 that I highly recommend, and I'm sure there's plenty more out there, but this is kind of stuff that I wish I knew when I first started. Thank you for watching, everybody, and if you like this guide, check out my top 10 mistakes to avoid when playing V Rising. Thanks for watching. Catch you again soon. Bye for now.